Coming to you from the Hudson Media Group studio, this is Talking Politics, and I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist. Top Latino is voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative, and certainly I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, because my level of honesty, ladies and gentlemen, is truly necessary, now more than ever, in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, it's me, the generational talent in Hudson County Media, Fernando Uribe. Hope you all had a wonderful week, folks. It's been an exhausting campaign season. As we all know, we have a new president-elect. The 45th president, as I predicted, is now soon to be the 47th president. And of course, I could be a little braggadocious and I could brag and I could gloat about the wins, but I'll do that a little bit later. But let's be serious for a minute and talk about what this election result truly means. And that's the subject of what I'm thinking about right now. Folks, got to tell you, stay up until about 4:30 in the morning, waiting patiently, anxiously to see a result, to see whether the remaining battleground states be called to get Donald Trump over the 270 electoral vote threshold. And soon enough, it happened. Of course, I rejoiced. Social media was just on fire during the overnights, and of course, throughout this week. But I also want to sort of talk about what this election result should signify for all of us. Let me just sort of put it into perspective here. Now, again, during this election season, I've been a little bombastic and pompous and just a loudmouth and even, whatever you want to call it, just being Fernando Uribe. But let me just be serious for a little bit and talk about really what these results signify. And let's be fair, too, about what this mandate was. Let's be fair that for really the last 12 years, Democrats had control of the White House for almost 2/3 of that entire time span. And of course, it seems like even when Barack Obama had 2 terms, when Donald Trump had 1 term and Joe Biden had 1 term, it seemed to be that everything that was going wrong with the country was Donald Trump's fault. But what we heard this week was sort of a loud roar by the American population. Now, of course, what have we heard for over 20 years, right? Republicans can only win the Electoral College, but they can't win the popular vote. Well, that goes out the window now, as Donald Trump won both the popular vote and a decisive victory in the Electoral College. But I think it was also sort of a mandate here about fighting back against the establishment, against the media elites, the elites in big tech and big business, most importantly, the elites within the Democrat Party. Because what have we heard for over almost 10 years now? That Donald Trump's a fascist, that he's a Nazi, that he's a racist, that he's a misogynist, that he's xenophobic, homophobic, transphobic, Islamophobic. We've heard everything, folks, for the last 10 years concerning Donald Trump, ever since he rode down the escalator in Trump Tower going back to 2015. But subsequently, since then, what have we seen? And again, let me just put this in perspective for you here so you can understand. Okay, folks, during this time span, and again, this year was quite a tumultuous election cycle. But what did we see about a guy, let's be very fair, may not like him, but there's no denying that taking a bullet for your country, I think, has to score some points with you, if you're being intellectually honest. But let's look at what the body of work was this year, right? Or at least for the last 10 years. 2 assassination attempts, 2 impeachments, 2 general election opponents in 1 cycle, right? 9 years of relentless slander and hoaxes. And we heard them, folks, the Russia hoax, oh my God, this and that. And the original election denier, Hillary Clinton, how long was she saying that Donald Trump was not legitimately elected in 2016? People want to talk about Republicans and conservatives like me, that supposedly I'm an election denier, which I've never been. But no one ever seems to take Hillary Clinton to task, or Stacey Abrams to task, or other potential election deniers that we have seen over the years. Folks, it's not hard to find. Go on YouTube. Just look up Democrat election deniers. And folks, you'll come across a 30-minute video with every single example. All right? We had 9 years of weaponized institutions against the 45th and now the 47th president. And of course, 91 politicized charges, everything from, his his business ventures to women coming up with these accusations. And folks, what have we seen? They threw everything they could at Donald Trump. Okay? But ultimately, he was fighting for all of us, and that's what he did this week. Of course, having an all-star cast, having sort of his version of the Avengers, which includes Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, Vivek Ramaswamy, Dana White. Okay, I mean, folks, you want to talk about a real-life version of the Avengers? It gets pretty good with that group, right? But again, and even against a hopelessly partisan establishment media, not just here in New Jersey, folks, and we all know what they are, okay? Unemployed clowns like Tom Moran for the Star-Ledger, another unemployed clown like Ron Zellinger, the editor of the Jersey Journal, and others. David Cruz with NJ Spotlight News, Max Pizzar with Insider NJ, Charles Style with the Bergen Record, Alan Steinberg, Jay Lassiter, Bob Hennelly, Alan Levin with Insider NJ, even Matt Friedman, the resident pothead, who, let's be fair, okay, the only pussy in the house that actually can stand to be near him are his cats. It's not his wife, because no surprise, his wife is working crazy hours at the bookstore, because why would you want to be home and have to even look at that insufferable prick? But again, folks, whether it's the establishment here in New Jersey or nationally, all we heard for 9 years, Donald Trump's this and Donald Trump's that. When for 8 years, to be very fair, if anyone really caused a lot of division in this country, well, it was, what used to be the kingmaker, well, that's not the case anymore with Barack Obama. Think about that for a second. And now there's a mandate here. But now I start thinking about what this means. I start thinking about how everything happens for a reason. And let's go back to 2020. Let's go back to the premise that had Donald Trump won that election, he would have been faced with a Democrat House and a Democrat Senate. Would anything have gotten done? Would any bills have been passed? Would any judges been approved? Of course not. It would have been a relentless, once again, another witch hunt you can add to the list by House Democrats and Senate Democrats. And consequently, the MAGA movement probably would have died a very slow death between 2020 to 2024. But in retrospect, it was good that Joe Biden won, because we got to see how destructive Democrat policies were. You kept printing money and kept people home when you didn't have to. You ostracized people in the military and in the workplace who didn't want to get vaccinated. People like me, who needed a vaccine card to simply go out to eat, whether it be in New York City or parts of New Jersey, where the current administration felt it was appropriate, legal, and acceptable to relieve people of their employment, whether it be in the military, whether it be nurses, firefighters, police officers, you name it, folks. This is an administration that weaponized the pandemic and politicized the virus, and we saw that. And thankfully, we've seen the court precedent where people have gotten their back pay and they've been able to reacquire the employment that they lost because of draconian COVID measures that this administration was more than happy to coincide with, that this administration was more than happy to acquiesce to all these blue governors, including the one here in New Jersey, keeping schools shut down longer than they had to, okay? These ridiculous social distancing measures that we all know, folks, we've learned didn't do a thing, okay? But we had to live through that. We had to live through the 4 years of a disastrous Biden-Harris administration. And what was insulting to me, and when I think about it in my infinite wisdom, is this was, not arguably, this was statistically, and the data told you, the most unpopular vice president this century. And somehow, within a span of a few weeks, Kamala Harris became the darling of the Democrat Party. Shortly after Joe Biden's disastrous performance in June with that debate against Donald Trump. Okay. And subsequently, the pressure to have the 46th president step down and not run for re-election. Folks, Donald Trump did something historic. He didn't just beat one person on the ballot. He beat two people in the same year while taking a bullet for our country, while fighting for us. Now, you don't have to like Donald Trump, okay? But there's no denying there was a mandate this week. Because when the establishment spends a good amount of time on social media and the establishment media calling half the country Nazis, deplorables, bitter people clinging to their guns and Bibles, and the latest doozy was by President Biden calling half the country garbage. What did you think was going to happen? Did you think the American people were going to stay home? Folks, there's a reason during early voting that people were mobilized. Case in point here in New Jersey. I'm the only journalist, folks, I got the receipts, who consistently said this is going to be a single-digit race in New Jersey. Joe Biden won New Jersey by over 18 points in 2020. Democrats have had a stranglehold on New Jersey since 1988 when George H.W. Bush won the presidency and subsequently won New Jersey. That's how far back we're going to a Republican candidate winning New Jersey's 14 electoral votes. And Donald Trump came within 5.5 points of doing that. So what does that tell you? People were mobilized, people were energized to go vote early, to vote by mail, and to not get off any line on Election Day. We saw massive turnouts in New Jersey, next door in Pennsylvania, next door in New York. And yes, Joe Biden won New York back in 2020, and Kamala Harris won New York in 2024. But not by the margins that Democrats are used to. Same thing in California. Sure, Kamala Harris won California, but nowhere near the same margins that Joe Biden and other Democrats have for the last 20-something years. It tells you that people were fed up. It tells you that people were tired of the woke nonsense, where DEI somehow has to be insisted upon in everything. And folks, let's be honest, we've seen the destructive, toxic nature of what DEI represents. We've seen it in our institutions of learning. We've seen it in the workplace. We've seen it in our corporations. And slowly but surely, corporations have sort of been rolling that back because they too understand the nonsense of being woke. And subsequently, if you're in the private sector, you eventually will go broke. And that's just what's going on. Sure, diversity is great. You want to have lesbians in every cabinet position in Washington? How about it? You want to have trans people, representing residents in, congressional districts? Sure, have at it. But if that's all you live on is identity, race, gender, orientation, you name it. Folks, you want to live by that sword? You're going to die by that sword. And subsequently, what did we see this week? We saw Donald Trump win the presidency with a decisive electoral college victory and also winning the popular vote, where a majority of the country gave him a stamp of approval, where record numbers of Hispanics around, not just New Jersey, but around the country said, hey, you know what? We're tired of seeing open borders. We're tired of seeing illegals come into our cities, consume our social services, crowd up our classrooms, get three meals a day and hotel accommodations while everyday Americans are struggling, while veterans are struggling, while senior citizens are struggling. But again, folks, you can be compassionate, but you also got to be commonsensical. And that's what was lacking in the Biden-Harris administration. And I got to tell you, folks, it felt good after the last 4 years. Now, of course, I'm not expecting miracles on January 20th, 2025. I can tell you one thing: securing the border, executive actions, hiring competent people to cabinet positions, not just because, this person's a transgender individual and this person's a lesbian and this person's that. No, folks, let's hire the best people. You want government to work more efficiently? I couldn't think of anyone better than Elon Musk. See how we cut back the workforce at X? I'm sorry, did X stop being profitable? Did X stop being productive in the workplace? No. Because when you cut out that fat, when it comes to not being productive in any workplace, Folks, whether it's the public or private sector, that needs to be done. Do we need a better press secretary than what we've had the last 4 years? Do we need better people in the Department of Education, the Department of Health, the Department of Defense? You name it, folks. There's no shortage of people that the president-elect can choose from. And to say nothing of the fact that his running mate, the vice president-elect, is only 40 years old. So as Donald Trump, again, will be finishing office when he's approximately 82 or 83 years old, guess what? You'll have a 44-year-old vice president in waiting. And if the economy recovers, if we stop sending money to corrupt regimes overseas and stop funding wars and start funding things here in the United States, we have a secure border. We're encouraging more public safety and to improve quality of life. Folks, J.D. Vance will put himself in an incredible position to be the 48th president in 2028. Stay tuned, folks. But in the meantime, rejoice, get ready to reclaim, and most importantly, let's return to normal. We haven't had normal for 4 years. Forget about the pandemic. We haven't had normal for a very long time. And I think this is a pretty good time for the Democrat Party to do a little awareness check. Sure, you can be about identity, but you start straying too much left, it's going to be a problem. And guess what? It was a problem this week, and it might be a problem for the foreseeable future. So sure, yes, while the body's not even cold yet, Democrats have to look at themselves in the mirror and see where they went wrong. Quite honestly, I hope it takes them a very, very long time. I'm not hoping they find their ways anytime soon. So once again, congratulations to the 45th and now soon to be the 47th president of the United States, Donald Trump, Republican House, Republican Senate, the Electoral College, and the popular vote. Folks, it was a clean sweep on Election Day. I'll tell you right now, I couldn't be happier. And that's what I'm thinking about right now. And now some local news, folks. And unfortunately, during the rejoicing of this week's election results, unfortunately, on election night, we saw the passing of Hoboken City Council President Jen Giattino. And it was a loss that continues to sting all of us here in Hudson County. Councilwoman Giattino was not just a great public servant, but a great human being. And her presence on the city council and her presence just in the community will be deeply missed. And a shout out to John Ionis, the editor of the Hudson County View, for his reporting on this story. Now, Jen Giattino was elected to her fourth term in the 6th Ward last year, and she passed away suddenly at the age of 52, according really to reports that have been made public. Her husband, Joe Giattino, put out a statement overnight, quote, "I am heartbroken to share that my beloved wife, Jen, the love of my life and mother of our 3 children, passed away suddenly. She was not only an incredible mother, but also a dedicated public servant who cared deeply about this community. Jen's unwavering commitment, kindness, and passion touched so many lives here in Hoboken. We are devastated by her loss, and I ask for privacy for our family as we try to navigate this difficult time. Thank you for your understanding and for keeping Jen in your thoughts and prayers." Now, Giattino was first elected in 2011 on then Mayor Don Zimmer's ticket and won re-election convincingly in 2015, 2019, and in 2023. Most recently securing 2/3 of the vote despite running against 2 opponents, one that was backed by Mayor Ravi Bala. She has a stellar record of being responsive to constituents and was known to be genuinely enjoying the act of hitting doors during the campaign season, a combination that made her both tough as an opponent and subsequently very difficult to overcome. The only blemish on her electoral record was an unsuccessful bid for mayor in 2017. Well, folks, I had the chance to interact with Jen Giattino over the years, and I got to tell you, stand-up lady, a great mom, dedicated wife, and very committed to public service. It's a shame to see her passing at only the young age of 52. Once again, my condolences to her husband, to her 3 children, and to the rest of her family in this very, very difficult time. While many in Hoboken were rejoicing on election night, fortunately, this certainly was quite the somber news to learn this week in the Mile Square City. Let's keep it in Hoboken, as the Hoboken rent control referendum was defeated at the polls on election night after attempts at a compromise earlier this year failed considerably. Now, preliminary tallies from the Hudson County Clerk's Office did demonstrate that. Now, the ballot question failed by roughly a 3-1 margin at approximately 15,184 votes to 5,629 votes. a result that was at least somewhat expected after the vast majority of local electeds came out against the measure. Now, Hoboken Mayor Ravi Bala, 2nd Ward Councilman Tiffany Fisher, 5th Ward Councilman Phil Cohen, as well as council members at large Emily Jabor, Jim Doyle, and Joe Quintero were all vocal opponents of the referendum. Quote, according to Council President Jen Giattino, shortly obviously before, her passing, Bala did put out a statement subsequently talking about the passing of the council president, but also talked about, quote, today while Hoboken mourns the loss of a true public servant, colleague, friend, and family member, we also recognize an important public victory in our ongoing efforts to preserve housing affordability in our Miles Square city. I offer my sincere thanks to Hoboken United Tenants for leading an incredible grassroots movement to educate voters on the rent control referendum and every resident who recognized the critical importance of saving rent control at the ballot box. If we are to learn anything from last night, whether personal, national, or local, it is that these core values, such as housing for all, brings us together as a community and makes us stronger. Additionally, the Hoboken Fair Housing Association, the New Jersey Tenants Organization, and the Jersey Journal all urged Miles Square City residents to vote no, with Jersey City Ward E Councilman and 32nd Legislative District Assembly candidate Katie Brennan lending their voices to the vote in the no effort. If approved, landlords could have raised rents to market rate after any vacancy as long as they pay $2,500 per unit, which will go into Hoboken's Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Now, politicals insisted that this would effectively end rent control, while the Miles Square City Taxpayers Association and their supporters were steadfast, saying it would actually help create more housing in the long run. The former was more convincing for most Miles Square City voters, and now the MSTA will go back to the drawing board. Now, the MSTA first unveiled their proposal in March and pressed forward after having petitions deemed to be, quote, defective in May. Then in August, the council rejected a compromise before changing the phrasing of the referendum statement. Well, again, folks, classy job there by Ravi Bala, the mayor of Hoboken, to pay tribute to Jen Giattino. Probably one of the few times that Ravi Bala will ever be, classy in his life. So, I mean, again, a broken clock is right twice a day too, right? In any event, folks, it's a victory for Hoboken residents. As we all know that Hoboken has become exceedingly expensive to live in. And of course, when you have an administration like Ravi Bala's, right, with the Lollipop Guild, which include Emily Jabor, Joe Quintero, and Phil Cohen, right? Seems like they're more concerned with pronouns in Hoboken than extra property taxes or trying to keep, Hoboken safe, as we've all learned, right? Or keeping Hoboken affordable, right? Seems like they find money to, repaint the crosswalks during Pride Month, right? Which I think costs some money, instead of hiring police officers. So maybe, residents, when they're walking through Church Square Park, aren't assaulted by mentally ill people that are out there, right? So, but again, priorities in Hoboken when it comes to the Miles Square City and, of course, Mayor Bala and the Lollipop Guild. But good to see that at least renters in Hoboken have a fighting chance to try to stay living in the Miles Square City. Now, we'll see where this goes, folks. I got to tell you, if you think about moving to Hoboken, you might want to reconsider. It's still pretty pricey to live in. And sure, there's great nightlife, there's great restaurants, there's views to Manhattan, and you can get to Manhattan within a few minutes. But like anytime soon, Hoboken probably isn't the best destination if you're looking to get any sort of affordable housing. But again, congratulations to all the men and women who worked behind this ballot measure to defeat it, and subsequently to send the MTSA back to the drawing board, and we'll see where it goes from here on in. Lastly, folks, and we'll stay in Hoboken here, I just want to give you a quick reminder, the holiday season is right upon us. Thanksgiving will be here before you know it, and of course, once it passes, we all know that Mariah Carey will be defrosted, and we'll be hearing Christmas songs all of our radios, our vehicles, our devices, and really everywhere you go, folks. But coming up on Wednesday night, December the 18th, at the world-famous Mad Hatter in downtown Hoboken, which is located at 221 Washington Street, I'll be happy to host the 2024 edition of the Holiday Happy Hour to benefit local kids. It is my annual toy drive. Now, I'm proud to be hosting this event with Vladimir Carrero, and we'll be greeting guests all throughout the evening at Mad Hatter. There'll be appetizer specials. There'll also be drink specials. And, folks, there'll be great DJ music, wonderful networking opportunities. And again, folks, it's your opportunity to make a difference in the lives of local children. We do ask each guest to bring one unwrapped toy to Mad Hatter, and subsequently, once you donate a toy, you'll be given a drink ticket for a free shot at the bar. So, folks, it's the time to be festive, to drink and be merry. So mark it on your calendars for Wednesday night, December the 18th, at the world-famous Mad Hatter in downtown Hoboken, located at 221 Washington Street. Festivities will begin at 7 o'clock and will pretty much be going all night during the holiday happy hour at Mad Hatter. So, folks, again, if you want to make a difference in the lives of local children, again, just buy one toy. Won't cost you much, even in this economy, and bring it down once again to Wednesday night, December the 18th, to Mad Hatter for Holiday Happy Hour 2024. Once again, hosted by Mad Hatter, Vladimir Carrero, and Fernando Uribe. And together, folks, we'll make a difference in the lives of local children during this holiday season. Then finally, a special programming note. And folks, again, election 2024 is already behind us, and we start looking forward to election 2025. We'll have primary races for assembly seats, as all 80 state assembly seats are up for grabs in 2025. We'll have a lot of municipal races that are very interesting throughout New Jersey. But folks, here in Hudson County, two municipal races that'll be front and center will be Hoboken and Jersey City. Who'll be the next mayor in Hoboken and in Jersey City? That remains to be seen. Who's running for all the city council seats? That also remains to be seen. But I got to tell you, folks, it's going to be something to keep an eye out for. And here at the Hudson Media Group, we'll be working overtime to make sure we bring you up-to-date information and exclusives with candidates all throughout the election season. So keep it right here with the Hudson Media Group, your resource for the best news here in Hudson County. It starts with Talking Politics with Fernando Uribe. Certainly, it also is contributed by the Hudson County View and Hudson County View Live on Wednesdays, hosted by John Hines. Of course, Stick at Night, hosted by Hudson County Commissioner Anthony Romano. And of course, all the great men and women working with North Bergen High School that come here and provide great content every single week. So, folks, we'll get you up to speed about everything going on in election 2025 right here with the Hudson Media Group. I can't say enough what a privilege it is to work here with CEO and executive producer Patrick O'Melia and the outstanding staff here that I get to work with every single week with the Hudson Media Group. And that's our show for this week. Once again, folks, to check out all the exceptional programming brought to you by the leader in independent media right here in Hudson County, it is the Hudson Media Group. Please check out their Facebook and, of course, check them out on YouTube. It takes 2 seconds to like, comment, and share, folks. And if you're not subscribed yet, click the subscribe button. That's all it takes, is a couple seconds. You'll be up to date on everything going on with the Hudson Media Group. Once again, you'll see brand new episodes of Talking Politics with Fernando Uribe. You'll see Hudson County View Live every Wednesday at noon. And, of course, Stick at Night, hosted by Hudson County Commissioner Anthony Romano. And once again, all the great men and women working with North Bergen High School. Folks, I can't say enough about how important local journalism is. And that's why we take it seriously here at the Hudson Media Group. And I'm proud to work here. Ever since Talking Politics premiered in April of 2019, I wasn't sure where the show was going to go. But you know what? It's gone places, and it's not going anywhere. So I appreciate your support as we keep moving forward here with the best information in Hudson County media and in politics. It's always Hudson Media Group. Folks, I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist. Top Latino is voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative, and certainly I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, because my level of honesty, folks, now more than ever is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks. It's me, the generational talent, Fernando Uribe, saying so long, folks. Have a great rest of your week. Please party responsibly. Again, for those of you that rocking the lapel pins like I am, rocking red, it's a time to rejoice. And congratulations to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, our next president and vice president, coming up in 2025. I'll see you next time here on the Hudson Media Group.